Okay, in this lecture we're going to talk about dividing complex numbers. Now the first thing I want to talk about are powers of I, as we set ourselves up for doing this. Now remember that the definition of I is the square root of -1. So what does I squared mean? Well, it means -1, because it's the square of this square root, so it's -1. Alright, so what would I cubed be? Well, this would be -1. This would be I by I squared, which of course is -I. Okay, what would I to the 4 be? Well, it would be I squared by I squared, which of course is -1 by -1, which of course is going to be 1. And we can proceed. What about I to the 5? Well, this would be this would be I to the 5 would be I squared, alright, by I cubed, if you like, which of course would be I squared is -1 by I cubed is -I, which of course would be I. So we're back again. So as we keep going on this, so this gives us a clue on how to actually do higher powers of I, because look at I to the 4, it's 1, so this is always useful. So for example, let's suppose I want to simplify the following. Okay, let's suppose I want to do I to the 27. Okay, what I do is I look for the closest multiple of 4 to 27, but a little bit smaller than 27, so 28 would have been the first one, so 24. So why don't I do 24 by I cubed using the exponent rules. Now of course this would be I to the 4 to the power of 6, 4 6 is a 24, by I cubed. Now this of course I to the 4 is 1, so it's 1 to the 6 times by I cubed. Well, we know that's -I, so this would in fact be -I. Okay. Alright, similarly, what if we have, say I want to do I to the -14. Okay, well this is 1 over, okay, I to the 14. Okay, so we could write it like that, or we could write it as, let's try an I to the 4 again. What's close to this? This would be I to the 12 to the -1 times, so perhaps we need to, that'll be -12, so I need -14, so I to the -2, which would be -2. There's a number of different ways to do this, so this would be I to the 4 cubed to the -1, and this is times by I squared to the -1. So this would be, of course, 1 cubed to the -1 times by, now what's I squared? I squared is -1 to the -1. So of course this is 1 to the -1, right, by -1 to the -1. So this is going to be 1 times 1 over -1, which of course will be -1. And there's my result. Right, now the next one has to do with dividing, alright, and if we're dividing a complex number, alright, by a complex number, what we do is we use conjugates. That says this, that A plus BI times by A minus BI, we saw before that this actually got rid of the imaginary part, and it was actually turns out to be just A squared plus B squared. If you FOIL this out, you'll see that that's what it comes out to be. Right, so if we're going to use that, simplifying a complex number that's being divided means to get it into a plus bi form, which means we need to get rid of the imaginary parts in the denominator. So we're going to write each of the following in standard form, which is a plus bi. Alright, so let's do part A. Let's suppose that we have 3 minus 5i over 2 minus I. So now what we do is we say, well, if we multiply by the conjugate now, we look for the conjugate of the denominator. So that would be 2 plus I, and we do 2 plus I. Now the top part needs to be FOILed, so we get 3 by 2 is 6, plus 3i when we do the outside ones, minus 10i when we do the inside ones, and it's going to be minus 5i squared, don't forget the I squared, over, using conjugates, this would be 2 squared, and the number in front of the I is 1, so it would be plus 1 squared. So this would become 6. Now we have negative 7i when we collect these two together, and this now becomes minus 5 by negative 1 over 4 plus 1 is 5. So I end up with, this will be minus 5 times minus 1 is plus 5, so this will be 11 minus 7i over 5, which means we end up with 11 over 5 minus 7 on 5i, and that's, we have it in standard form. Right, let's suppose that we do just one that's 5 over I. Okay, well, we know that we can, of course, multiply here by I over I, and if we use negative I on I, alright, then what we end up with is negative I squared on the bottom over negative 5I on the top. So of course, what is I squared? Well, it's negative 1, so I get negative 5I over negative of negative 1, so I end up with negative 5I over 1, which of course is equal to negative 5I, which of course is 0 subtract 5I if we want it in standard form. Right, and that's the way we do divisions of complex numbers.